All right, let's get right to it. Is silver going to the moon in its rocket ship? We're going to have a silver rocket ship. That's what you want to know. That's what we don't know. And that's what I don't think will happen. But I'm going to go over some data that I've been able to find. And I'm going to talk about the data I have not been able to find. And I would really appreciate it if you have any inputs on where to find some of this missing data. But there's no denying the GME excitement did spill over a bit to SLV. Wall Street Bets did a fairly large post on it. I collected some data to see just how much interest is in there. And I wanted to show you a few charts that I pulled up. I feel it's always valuable to try and find your own data, because then you can form your own opinion about it versus just read news articles and see what other people have thought about it and being influenced by them. So we'll start with some historicals. First off, let's see how gold and silver did. Then we're going to go to the gold and silver ratio. Then we're going to go to some of the Google Trends on these topics, where I think it'll go from there. So gold first. Gold did not move, really, the past 3 days. So if we look at Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, gold has been flat. Less than a fraction of a percent change. A few spikes, but it ended those crazy 3 days. If you were watching GME, GameStop, tons of stocks went crazy. Gold did not. So what did silver do? Well, silver had some big increases. It started the week, or the midweek, about 25 an ounce, and it's ending Friday at 27 an ounce. And for little old silver, that's about an 8% increase. And it's an even bigger deal because gold did not increase. Remember that. Let me say that again. Gold was flat, right? Silver up about 8%. So what does that mean? Well, is silver ready to go into the rocket ship? Or are we going to make the rocket ship out of silver? Well, I want to show you some historicals. Now, historicals don't always tell you about the future, but you can see some trends if you look at historicals. And there's a couple of trends here I wanted to highlight. So this is macro trends. So one of the best sites I've seen for historicals on gold and silver. This is the gold to silver ratio. So think of this as 30 ounces of silver is equal in value to 1 ounce in gold. Okay? So a steady increase then from the 60s once silver started to become, a market float. It used to be kind of fixed by the government, and now it floats. So these gray bars here, or columns, these are recessions. Okay? So if you look at each of these, what do you see in common? Well, gold increases in value over silver during these recessions. Here, the 1980 recession, silver lost a ton of ground. Silver has been, as high as 99 ounces of silver equaling 1 ounce of gold in the 1990 recession. So let's slide this graph forward then. Let's pull this up to about 90. We just passed 90. Pull this all the way to the current. So we can see our 3 recessions, the dot-com bubble. Yep, same thing. Silver lost out to gold. How about the big financial crisis? Yep, silver lost out to gold, recovered a bit, and then silver had this crazy increase in value relative to gold and overall, which I'll show you in the next graph. I don't fully understand that one. I know it had a lot to do with where people put money when they weren't comfortable with the U.S. government and the U.S. government credit rating, which really took a hit there in 2011. But steadily gold gained ground again. In our most recent COVID recession, stock market crash, quickly followed by a rally. That sent gold skyrocketing comparative to silver, but silver jumped back. Silver is now currently at about 68 ounces to the ounce of gold. And of course, we saw that ratio increase. It was about 70, and now it's below 70. Historically, definitely has room to continue to decrease, relative to gold. Next graph, silver. Okay, price of silver. When we talk about going to the moon, what we're really talking about is 100% increase. I'm sorry, let me say it again. 1,000% increase in the price of something. 10x the price. 10 times. Has silver done that before? Could it do it now? Well, the answer to the first question is yes. Silver has absolutely done this, and within the last 20 years. Silver was down to about $6 an ounce. And during that spike in fear about U.S. government credit, it jumped up to $56.28 an ounce. And it went back down, of course. So it has happened in the past. Will it happen again? I don't think it's likely. But I'm just another, talking person on the internet. The other place I wanted to go then, after looking at these graphs, I wanted to go to some of the Google Trends. And so the Google Trends will show you what people search for. And so it's you put some search terms in, and then it will tell you relative to each other how much interest there was. And so for the past 7 days, here what I've done is I put in the stock tickers that have been shorted and have been squeezed lately by the Wall Street Bets people, and not just them, others too. And SLV, which is the paper trading for silver. AMC and GME at the top, the most interest. They're the most shorted. They're the stars. Here you have Dogecoin in green, which had a huge spike on what was Thursday. And then you've got Nokia, which is kind of, just a footnote compared to its neighbors. And then in purple there, you've got SLV. There was a little bit of headlines, a little bit of interest there on Friday, but nothing else there. Maybe this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because silver hasn't gone to the moon yet, like GME and AMC have. Like they really have. We're talking huge, over 1,000% increases in both of those. And it hasn't happened to SLV in particular. If it did, I'm sure it would be just as popular. So again, what about silver itself? Well, here you go. Silver in red, gold in gold, and GME in blue. Now that the markets are closed, gold is back to being a more interesting search term on Saturday. And this is what also blew me away. Look at this. Within the U.S., GME was the top story, especially on the coasts. But Louisiana, Mississippi, and West Virginia care more about gold than GME. New Mexico cares more about silver. They've been searching about silver more than gold and GME. Also, JM Bullion has a good page if you're not familiar with GLD and SLV. GLD is a trust backed by gold. SLV is a trust backed by silver. They're the big ones. So if you want to paper trade silver, you buy SLV. If you want to paper trade gold, you buy GLD. There's a lot of shade, a lot of I don't know if it's hate, but a lot of you stackers, physical stackers, you look down on paper trading. Now, I think it's important though, and it's important if there's ever going to be a squeeze, because the speed at which you can trade physical silver is undeniably slower than paper trading. And there's some important differences. This article on JM Bullion makes it clear that you're only going to get actual silver in exchange for your shares if you're a high roller, like hundreds of thousands of value. So there's pros to GLD and SLV, and there's cons to it as well in relation to physical. If it's gonna get squeezed, I mean, think about it. If you want to profit off the squeeze, if it happens, it's gonna peak, and it's only gonna peak for a day. or two, or a very short amount of time, the peak. You're likely not going to be able to turn around your physical if you want to cash in on this, if you want to go back into fiat. If you do want to do that, you should probably be holding SLV. And if you're like me, you'll hold both. I plan on holding my physical long term, and I have some SLV that I may only hold short term if there is a squeeze. So my video has no investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a guy who collects coins. But very interested in what you guys think about all this. Like I said at the beginning, there's a big piece of data that I don't have, and that piece of data is how much SLV is currently being shorted by Wall Street. I couldn't find it. I searched for about 15-20 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but usually if you're hitting a wall with Google, it's not there in that amount of time. So you can find data on how much GameStop, how much AMC are shorted, but not for SLV. So that would be a very interesting piece of data, and I'm interested to know if any of you have reliable sources for that figure. If it's anywhere near close to what GME appears to be shorted at, which is like 113% or so, I think on Friday, then squeeze is totally possible. If silver is not being shorted nearly as much, then it may rise, but it's not likely to squeeze into a 1,000% return. Just my opinions here. Drop yours in the comments. It's going to be an exciting week, folks. I'm pumped to see what happens in the markets. But yeah, hold on to your shiny coins so far, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of the weekend. And we'll check in next week to see where this all goes.